Welcome back. All right, so all the hockey's done for tonight. Some interesting results, some kind of fun games. This one's kind of fun because, again, you've got guys playing for jobs. So if you're watching a game and you're thinking to yourself, now, why would I watch a game between two teams that aren't making the playoffs? Because you're looking at guys who are playing for jobs next year. You're looking for guys who want to show, hey, I want to be here. Or maybe they know, hey, I'm on the trading block. I might as well look good out here. So, that being said, starting things off with Montreal and Philadelphia, a game between two teams that are not making the playoffs. Montembeault versus Hart in this one. Early power play for the Flyers. JVR has a tip that goes wide. That power play is killed off. Frost has a rush chance that's saved. However, Philadelphia does open the score. It's Hayes from Sanheim and Van Riemsdyk at 7 minutes. The Habs then get a power play. That was killed off. Caulfield's denied from the slot. And by the end of the period, you could see Montreal had some momentum, but they're behind 1-0. Second period, early power play for Montreal, and they score on it. It's Suzuki from Caulfield and Wideman at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. In fact, 5 minutes into the period, the shots are 3-0 for Montreal. So a good start. Then Claude Giroux decides I might as well get point number 900. He's on the verge of game number 1,000 as well. He scores from Frost and Konechny at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. That tie or that lead for Philadelphia doesn't last. Suzuki ties it from Wideman and Hoffman at 8:18. So Wideman with a couple of assists makes it a 2-2 tie. And it was a nice deke on a rush opportunity for Suzuki. In fact, flipping back, and I see this and I'm like, didn't Suzuki already score? Oh, he's got two. Cool. Hayes then nearly answers. The Habs press with 9 minutes left. We get a power play from Montreal. Gallagher was denied during that. That power play is killed off. JVR has a net drive. That was defended. The Habs with the 2-on-1, overpassing on that 2-on-1. Habs get a power play with 1:19 left. That rolls over into the third. Philadelphia finishes the kill. Anderson has a rush chance that's saved. Pitlick has one that deflects out. And then Atkinson gives the lead to the Philadelphia Flyers. He scores from Farabee and Brassard at 2:41. Gallagher then has a rush chance that's saved. Konechny has a rush opportunity as well. That one was blocked out. Flyers press. Montembeault's holding on. They pull the goaltender with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. The Flyers ice the puck with 1 minute and 15 seconds left, so Montreal calls a timeout. Farabee was downed. They look at it and they say it's 5 minutes. But here's the thing. I'd be interested to know what you guys think with this. So the referees call a 5-minute penalty, not because they think it's a 5-minute penalty, but because they didn't see it. So they look at it, knowing something happened, and they lower it to 2 minutes. I don't know how I feel about that. At any rate, that gives a power play to Philadelphia. That should be the end of it, as the refs are explaining this to Marty St. Louis, who's just incredulous. But, shorthanded, Montreal scores. It's Pitlick from Sherratt at 19:17. So despite this power play against them in the closing 2 minutes, they tie it up, they force overtime. The overtime, the Habs finish the kill. The Flyers control the next faceoff. Konechny is denied. The puck ends up going the other way. It goes in the net. It's Caulfield. Yep, Goal Caulfield is back. He scores from Pitlick at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That's to go with his assist. Caulfield's been fantastic since St. Louis took over. Storyline continues. Montreal wins 4-3 in overtime. They go to 16, 35, and 8 with the win. For Philadelphia, 18, 30, and 11 with the loss. Your shots in this one, 11-9 Montreal in the first, 10-6 Montreal in the second, 13-11 Montreal in the third. In the overtime, Philadelphia outshoots Montreal 4-1. Overall shots, 35-30 for Montreal. Power plays, the Habs 1 for 4. Philadelphia 0 for 2. The hits, 29-15 Philadelphia. Montembeault saves 27 out of 30. Hart saves 31 out of 35. Your 3 stars are Caulfield, Giroux, and Suzuki. So, again, it doesn't mean anything in the standings. However, for Montreal, it's a win, and you could see they celebrated that. These games still matter to the players. All right, next up. Vegas. So, and I hate to say it, but it's true. Last week, people said, their schedule coming up is pretty easy. Look at the teams they're playing against. You have to play those games and win them, though, because otherwise, then you're left with a tougher schedule, and now you really desperately need wins. Now, the good news for Vegas was that teams that they had behind them that were breathing down their neck, in one case, didn't win tonight. In another case, though, that team might be getting a little bit closer than expected. So it's Thompson versus Merzlikins in this one. Early power play for Columbus. They score on it. It's Laine, who's been red hot lately. Scores from Nyquist and Roslovic at 2:12. And then rush chances for both teams. The first shot Vegas has goes in the net. It's Marchessault at 3:13. So that ties it up. Vegas has a 3-on-2. Elvis saves. 6 minutes into this, the shots are 3 apiece. And then at 7:23, Carrier scores from Roy and Stevenson. So that makes it 2-1. And then there was a weird bounce on the next play that almost made it 3-1. So really, it looked like Vegas might run away with this after they allowed that first goal. However, Sillinger, who was in for a pretty big game, he scores from Bjorkstrand and Kukin at 11:53. Domi then has a rush chance saved. However, during that same setup, Bjorkstrand would score from Domi and Kukin at 12:23. So all of a sudden, it's 3-2 for Columbus, and that's 5 goals on the first 15 shots of the game. That's a 33.3 shooting percentage. And already I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough room on this board. So Vegas gets a power play. That's killed off. Domi jumps Pietrangelo. Things get brawly, and Columbus comes out of it with a power play. So, all right. That's killed off, but it gets 4 shots. So we go to the second period with Columbus ahead 3-2. Sillinger's denied in close, and an early play, he's not denied on his next opportunity. He scores from Bjorkstrand and Peak at 5:36. Nice tip by Sillinger. Initially, that goal was given to Bjorkstrand. Interestingly enough, Sillinger then scores at 7:26. He gets his first career hat trick from Domi and Bjorkstrand. The interesting part being, what was announced to the fans in the arena was that Bjorkstrand had that second goal, not Sillinger. The fans still throw their hats on the ice for the Sillinger hat trick. That's some good fandom right there, that they know that goal's being changed and that it's Sillinger's goal, and the hats are on the ice. So there's nothing worse than when hats go on the ice and it's not a hat trick. It's a waste of hats. Anyways, that's the first career hat trick for Cole Sillinger. Mike Sillinger never had one in the regular season, but he did have one in the playoffs. So as they said, Cole now kind of has bragging rights on his dad. Dodonov then scores, though, to kind of take it down a bit from Kolasar and Pietrangelo at 8:28. Vegas then gets a power play. That was unsuccessful. Columbus gets a power play. Werenski's denied during that. That's killed off. So going into the third period, the score is 5-3 in favor of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But with the amount of goals these guys allow, there's nothing that's safe. So there's a power play for Vegas early in the third. They do score on it. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds, it's Eichel from Stevenson. So nice save by Merzlikins on Stevenson. The rebound goes to Eichel. He puts it in. Vegas then presses to tie. There's another Vegas power play. That was unsuccessful. Haig was robbed from in close. Corrali has a rush chance. That was saved. Eichel ends up hitting a post, so close to tying it. With 1:36 left, Vegas calls a timeout. That's with the goalie on the bench, so it's a 6-on-5. 55.8 seconds left. Columbus ices the puck. But in the end, they get the empty netter. It's Robinson from Werenski at 19:49. So Columbus wins this one 6-4. They go to 30-27-3. For Vegas, they're now 32-25-4. So this has become a major problem now for Vegas, that they're losing a lot of games, and eventually somebody behind them, you have to think, would be able to overtake them and get that spot. So your 3 stars in this one: Sillinger, of course, Bjorkstrand, and Domi. The shots, 16-8 Columbus in the first, 14-7 Columbus in the second, 12-8 for Vegas in the third. Final shots, 38-27 for Columbus. Power plays, Vegas 1 for 4, Columbus 1 for 3. The hits, 25-12 Columbus. Thompson was in net tonight, 32 saves on 37 shots. Merzlikins at the other end, 23 saves on 27 shots. And so, yeah, Vegas, they don't really have any room left to give up games like this. And here we are. So we will see whether or not they can hold on to that final playoff spot, or if somebody like Vancouver, Dallas, Anaheim, if somebody can come up, Winnipeg. Oh, hey, let's talk about the Winnipeg game next, shall we? So, segue right into this. The Winnipeg Jets in against St. Louis. And Winnipeg is in must-win situations every night, right? They can't afford to lose games. So, in this game, it's Hellebuck versus Binnington. Connor has a chance that's saved early. Ehlers passes one off to Kopp, but that one wouldn't go. 5 minutes into the period, the shots are 3-1 for the Jets. The Jets end up getting themselves a power play. We end up with a 5-on-3 for the Jets as well. But Scheifele's denied, and the Blues do survive that 5-on-3. So that's where you feel like maybe the momentum's going to start going to St. Louis. Jets press with 6 minutes left. Svechnikov ends up getting 2 and 10, so he gets the 10-minute misconduct along with the minor. So the Blues come out of that with a power play, and Perron scores from Tarasenko and Krug at 16:48. So after the first period, St. Louis is ahead 1-0. Very evenly played period. That power play is the difference. Second period, shots are 5-4 for the Blues 6.5 minutes in, and this was a very evenly played back and forth game to that point. Dubois can't bury one in close. Jets had a 3-on-2 that was defended, but at 10:51 the Jets tie it. It's Ehlers from Dubois and Connor. Dubois had a monster game. Connor then with a rush chance, he was denied. There's a power play for the Blues. That's unsuccessful. Scheifele has a net drive. That ends up being covered by Binnington. Stanley with a blast. That was saved and held as well. And then in the final minute, the Jets with a turnover. And it's Tarasenko from Shen at 19 minutes and 33 seconds. That makes it 2-1 for St. Louis after 2 periods. So with Winnipeg and the way things have been going for them, just that last-minute goal, that power play goal, it just feels like everything that can go wrong does for them. So third period, Svechnikov has a chance that's saved and held. Strong game for Dubois yet again. Kopp, he ends up being out after a hit from Sundqvist. Remember, Kopp just came back. He ends up being out. Stanley hits the side of the net, and then Scheifele doesn't. He hits the back of the net at 6 minutes and 30 seconds from Wheeler and Stanley. And then at 7:33, very quickly after that, it's Connor from Pionk. So you end up in a situation where within a minute and 3 seconds, Winnipeg goes from being behind to being ahead. Shots are 10-2 for the Jets with 9 minutes left. They were showing that kind of desperate hockey you need if you're Winnipeg, if you're going to have a chance at the playoffs. Jets shot blocking as the Blues press. Toropchenko had a wraparound. That was saved. Perron's denied. Heavy pressure by the Blues at this point in the game. There was a post for Saad, and Perron has a chance that's blocked. There were lots of opportunities. They pull the goaltender, and then they score. At 17:49, it's Shen from Kyrou and Tarasenko. It was seconds after that sixth attacker hits the ice. And so that forces overtime. In the overtime, Perron is denied. Dubois then had a wraparound that was saved. His next opportunity was not. He scores from Ehlers and Connor at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. And the Jets win in overtime in St. Louis. They win 3-4 against St. Louis this year. 27-23-10. With the 4-3 victory for St. Louis, they're 34-17-8. So they get a point, but they really wanted two. Your 3 stars, Dubois, Tarasenko, and Connor. The shots, 9 apiece in the first. 13-12 St. Louis in the second. 13-8 Winnipeg in the third. In the overtime, 3-1 for Winnipeg. Power plays, or overall shots were 37-31 for Winnipeg. Now, power plays. Winnipeg 0-2, St. Louis 1-2. Hits 20-19 for St. Louis. Hellebuck saves 28 out of 31. Binnington saves 33 out of 37. So, honestly, very entertaining game. Winnipeg gets the 2 points. They stay in the hunt. They do, with this win tonight, technically move ahead of Anaheim in that they have a couple of games in hand. So, you know, this may not be as over as it's looked over the last week or so. Anyways, moving along. Nashville. So the Nashville Predators, who it looks like have got things going. So, you know, again, looking at last night's power rankings, look at where teams are right now. Things have changed. So that's when I stop answering all the complaints on the power rankings. I'm like, it's not even what they are now. Nashville, it seems, is getting it back together. Minnesota, on the other hand, I don't know. So it's Riddick versus Kakkonen. It was Koivu night, so, you know, nice send-off there for Koivu and all of that. That was great. Greenway has a chance to deflect wide. Duchesne steals. He fires wide. We then get Cunnin versus Foligno. Cunnin, who played in Minnesota. I guess Foligno's not on his card list now. So we get, you know, really testy game right out of the gate here. Shots are 2-0 for the Wild at 5 minutes. The Wild get a power play. Brodin has a shot that's blocked. Nashville kills that off. And then they open the scoring. It's Forsberg on what was the first shot of the game for Nashville from Fabro and Duchesne at 8:24. The lead ends up disappearing at 13:03 of the period as Boldy scores from Gaudreau and Fiala. And again, Boldy obviously didn't start the season with Minnesota, so he's not going to get the Calder votes. He is one of the best of the rookies this year. Preds get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Last minute, there's a press by the Wild. There was a post for Boldy. The horn sounded as if they thought the puck was in. Puck wasn't in, so that just throws everything off. So they just take that 3 seconds and tack it on to the second period. Early press by Nashville in the second period. Zuccarello has a net drive that stalls out. Wild had some momentum, but the Preds end up getting a power play. That power play is killed off. Then there's a near miss for the Wild after that. Fiala has a blast that deflects out. Forsberg fires one high as they were rushing and pushing for the lead. Preds had a 2-on-1. Tomasino can't bury, but during that same set of plays, You end up with Yossi scoring from Tolvanen and Tomasino at 8:44. That gives Nashville the lead. Benning was downed. He would end up skating off, but anytime you see a guy down on the ice in pain like that, you worry, and so he does get up, skate off. Greenway would tie the game again from Foligno and Cousins at 11 minutes and 20 seconds. So Minnesota didn't have a lead tonight, but they did fight back and tie the game twice. However, 50 seconds later, it's Tomasino scoring from McCarron, and he scored on the rebound. So Tomasino couldn't bury one on that 2-on-1 earlier in the period. He does get the goal later. So he has a goal and an assist in the second. And then the Preds press for another. We get a power play for the Wild. That's killed off. Then with 12 seconds left, we get a power play for the Predators. And to start the third period, they score on that as well. It's Yossi from Granlund and Forsberg. So at 1:05 of the third period, this one kind of looked done, even though it was only a 2-goal lead. I don't know, it felt like it was done. Wild get a power play. Kaprizov has a tip shot that's saved. That power play's killed off. Brodin had a chance that was saved and held. The Preds were limiting the Wild chances as well once we get into that second half of the period. Carrier has a chance that's saved and held. Hartman has a shot that's gloved easily by Riddick. Goalie pull with 3:15 left. That allows Nashville to score. It's Forsberg from Duchesne and Yossi at 17:42. They pull the goalie again because that's what Dean Evison does. And it's another empty net goal. It's Cousins from McCarron and Yossi at 19:31. So your final score is 6-2. I mean, in reality, it's 4-2 with a couple empty netters, but it's a 6-2 score. 34-21-4 is the record now for Nashville. They tie Minnesota in points. Minnesota's 34-20-4. They do have a game in hand on Nashville, but their lead over Nashville is gone. So Minnesota's now in a situation where they could drop into one of those wild card spots, and we know how perilous the wild card spots tend to be right now. So, yeah, Minnesota's got to pick it up. 3 stars are Yossi, Tomasino, and Greenway. Shots, 9-5 Minnesota in the first, 13-11 Nashville in the second, 8-7 Minnesota in the third. Final shots, 28-25 for Minnesota. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 3. Minnesota 0 for 3. The hits, 20-18 Minnesota. Riddick saves 26 out of 28. Kakkonen saves 19 out of 23. So there are a lot of question marks right now with Minnesota. On the Nashville side of things, though, they're definitely turning it on at the right time. This is some of the best hockey Nashville's played, and we'll see whether or not it carries over for the rest of the week. Next up, Anaheim. The Ducks in against the New York Islanders. So it's Gibson versus Sorokin in this one. Gibson's numbers have really started to fall. Gibson, of course, was in the All-Star game. He had really good numbers, but since then, it's been not great, and Anaheim's record has not been great. Those two things are definitely related to one another. Parisi would score from Barzal at 2:18, and this was a very early shot for the New York Islanders. The shots are 3-1 New York at 4.5 minutes. The Ducks would press back at 5.5. Lee has a net feed to Nelson. That misses. But then it's Josh Manson ties the game. He scores from Robinson at 9:48. So it's tied, and it stays that way until the final minute of the first period. And then back-to-back goals by the Islanders take place. It's Palmieri from Bailey and Pajot at 19:31. And then with 4 seconds, it was 3.3 seconds left in the period, Anders Lee scores from Pulock and Beauvillier. So after the first period, it's 3-1 for the New York Islanders. And at that point, I thought, well, unless Anaheim has some kind of miracle in store for them, they've really put themselves up against it. Second period, the Islanders get an early power play. That's killed off, but the Islanders press after, and they press again at 6.5 minutes. It was waves at that point of Islanders pressure. The shots, though, are low. It's 3-1 for the Islanders at 7.5 minutes. But again, the Ducks with one shot to that point in the period. Fowler has a blast that's saved and held. The Ducks press with 9 minutes left. Cizikas has a net feed. That's cleared out. Things get scrappy with 5:43 left. Zegers and Cizikas decide they don't like each other. Their names kind of rhyme, so maybe they got mad at each other for it. And then you end up with a 4-on-4 out of that. So at 14:23, Lundestrom scores from Lindholm and Drysdale, and that makes it a 3-2 score. We then get a crossbar for Comtois. They check to see if that puck was in the net. You can see Comtois just sitting on the bench shaking his head. Yeah, it's not in. He's right. And then Palmieri adds another. He scores from Mayfield and Bailey at 17:23. The Ducks then get a power play. Pajot has a shorthanded break. He was denied on that. So coming out of the second period, the score is now 4-2 in favor of the New York Islanders. Third period. 1:22 of a power play left for the Ducks to start that. So the Islanders start finishing that off. In fact, the shots are 8-4 for the Islanders 6 minutes into that period. They played very well. They started each period very well. Terry has a net feed. That was blocked out. There's a press by the Islanders at 8.5 minutes. With 10:18 left, the Ducks get a power play. Strong penalty kill by the Islanders, though, kills that right off. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Ducks press after when they get the goalie pulled, and they score 6-on-5. It's Henrique from Terry at 18:16. The Ducks then immediately call a timeout. Whatever they discussed during the timeout does not work out. The Islanders win this one 4-3. Huge blow for the playoff hopes of the Anaheim Ducks. They drop to 27, 25, and 10. The Islanders back to 500, 24, 24, and 8. We've been here before. So your 3 stars are Palmieri, Sorokin, and Bailey. Your shots, 13-12 Islanders in the first, 14-9 Anaheim in the second, 16-7 for Anaheim in the third. Final shots actually 42-29 for the Anaheim Ducks. Power plays, both teams 0 for 2. Hits, 25-14 Islanders. Gibson saves 25 out of 29. Sorokin saves 39 out of 42. So another win for the Islanders. They keep playing well. They're not in the playoff hunt, certainly, but they're making life difficult for teams like the Ducks that really need wins right now. That being said, I need to change boards. Next up, Colorado. These guys right here. And you can tell it's the prime green jersey because it's got the mountaintop on it. Can't even see it on camera. There we go. You can kind of see it on camera. Not much difference with the prime greens, really. Anyways, so Colorado at home against the Calgary Flames. Calgary, of course, one of the hottest teams in the league coming into this. Colorado having had its setbacks. But this felt like a playoff game. And if we get this as a semifinal matchup, as a conference final, I think we're going to be spoiled. This is some good hockey. So it's Vladar versus Kemper. Good start for the Flames. The shots are 2-0 in their favor 4.5 minutes in. That usually bodes well for Calgary. Taves has a shot that deflects out. Makar has a chance that's saved. The Avs press. The Avs end up getting a power play. They score on it. It's McKinnon from Rantanen and Kadri at 9:55. And it was a beautiful snipe shot by McKinnon. No chance for Vladar on that one. The Avs were also holding the Flames to 2 shots through a large portion of that period. But while there's a press by the Avs with 8 minutes left, McKinnon has a rush chance that's blocked off. The Avs get a power play that's killed off. But as the period goes along, the shots are evening up. And Toffoli's denied in the final minute. So if that goes in, again, that's that whole argument of, well, if that goes in, who knows what happens. But after one period, it's 1-0 for Colorado. Second period, Avs press at 2.5 minutes. Kadri tips one wide. The Flames clear it out. O'Connor has a chance that tips wide. Tight checking. Playoff feel. Again, really felt like a playoff game here. Makar with a chance. Vladar with a nice shoulder save on that. McDermott has a shot blocked as the Avs are pressing. Jost with a wraparound opportunity. That was saved. 39 seconds left. The Flames go to the power play. So that rolls over into the third where the Avs finish off the kill. Makar has a chance that's saved. We get a dog pile after that. What's not fun about a dog pile? Anyways, we end up with a face-off, and at 4 minutes, McKinnon on the face-off win. And against the momentum of the Flames, who were playing very well at this point, from around the tail end of that second period and through the early part of the third, all of a sudden it's 2-0 for Colorado. O'Connor then had a rush chance that deflects out. The shots are 4 apiece at the half. We get a power play for the Flames. That's killed off. Avs had a 2-on-1. Rantanen had a chance that was saved there. Backlund then had a rush chance that was saved and held. Flames press with 5.5 minutes left, but the Avs were doing a good job of shot blocking. Not that the shot totals would tell you that. They really don't in the third. There would have been more shots on net than there were other than the shot blocks for Colorado. Goodbranson's denied. This is all Flames at this point, so they pull the goalie with 2:35 left. It takes until the final minute, but Colorado does get the empty netter. It's Rantanen from Helm at 19:22. Your final score is 3-0 for Colorado. They go to 42-13-5 with the win. Calgary 36-16-7 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Kemper, McKinnon, and Rantanen. Your shots, 9 apiece in the first, 15-13 Calgary in the second, and 22-10 Calgary in the third. Final shots, 46-32 for Calgary. Power plays, Calgary goes 0 for 3. Colorado 1 for 2. The hits 23-22 Calgary. Vladar 29 saves on 31 shots. Kemper saves all 46 for his 24th career shutout. And yet people will still say, I don't know that I trust Colorado's goaltending. I hear that, and I raise that with a 46 save shutout tonight by Kemper. I think their goaltending should be fine. through 4 rounds, we'll see. But if they can get through 2 and make it into that 3rd round, I think they'll be quite happy with things. Although winning all 4 rounds is really the goal of the Avalanche this year. Next up, Tampa Bay and the Canucks, who are late again. So we saw this against Washington. We see it again tonight. They cannot do this. They cannot get away with this. They salvaged a point against Washington. They end up having a very good game tonight. You have to start on time. It's the same problem they had under Travis Green. Now, under Travis Green, those games would very often get out of control. They get very lopsided. Tonight's game doesn't get lopsided, but they have to start on time. So Vasilevsky versus Demko, no Pettersson, and you could tell right away. There's a post for Colton, and the Bolts have all the early jump, and eventually they score. It's Hedman from Maroon and Belmar at 3:26. 4.5 minutes into this, the shots are 6-1 for Tampa. It was a shooting gallery. And then Colton, on a pass from Perry at 5:06, gets a goal on the 9th shot for Tampa. Vancouver's still at 1. So Vancouver has 1 shot. Demko's under siege. It's already 2-0 for Tampa. You cannot do this. If you're going to manage to have this run towards the playoffs, have a successful finish. We get a power play for the Canucks. That's killed off. And the game settles down. But I put right here, game settles, same as Caps game. They get behind and then everything settles down. They need to settle it down before they get behind. Bolts score, but it was challenged for offsides. It's accurate. And so while it could have been 3-0, it ends up being 2-0 after 1. Second period, Bolts get a power play on a delay of game call for the Canucks. Canucks did kill it off. The Bolts 0 for their last 13 at that point. Miller can't bury one. The Canucks end up drawing a power play. That was unsuccessful. But 6.5 minutes in, the shots are 9-2 for the Canucks. So again, the Canucks start slow, but once they get going, they're really quite good. Miller has a net drive. That's denied. Stamkos is then denied on a steal. Cirelli with a net drive. That won't go. OEL actually defended on that one. Rempel had a chance that was saved and held. It was his first game tonight as a Canuck because they had to call him up. Pettersson was out and all that. I thought he played well. Bolts press with 4.5 minutes left. There's a press then that draws a power play for Tampa. Short-handed chance for Myers goes wide. That's killed off. We end up getting 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Point nearly scores in the closing seconds, but after 2, the score is the same as it was after 1. 2-0 Tampa. And going into the third, all I kept thinking was Tampa's not blowing a 2-goal lead in the third. Not only that, it's a weird stat. Tampa Bay on the first half of back-to-backs is lousy this year. On second half of back-to-backs, they're excellent. That is so opposite to what you would expect. Third period, Miller has a rush chance that's saved. Next chance for Miller, he whiffed on that. Highmore's then denied. Vasilevsky really solid. Killorn fires one wide. Stamkos fires one wide as well. The puck goes the other way. And JT Miller, 12-game point streak for him. He scores from Garland and Pearson at 5:54. Now, Tampa was mad because they felt it should have been an icing call, but Garland's the first one that gets to the puck. So the linesman looks, sees it rifled around the boards, and it's like, yeah, Garland's the first one to the puck. No icing. So Miller's just kind of lollygagging, for lack of a better term. Kind of, all right, just throw it over here. And he yells out for the puck, and they give it to him, and he buries it. So, smart move by the Canucks there. And Pearson gets a secondary assist for just firing the puck down the ice. So, Canucks press the next shift. They're looking for the tie. Pearson's denied. Puck goes in after the whistle. Maybe it shouldn't have been a whistle. Maybe it should have. Who knows? So fans were upset with some non-calls, including the puck that goes in after the whistle and some penalties they thought should have been called. With 8:57 left, the Canucks get a power play. We go to commercial. We come back and we find out, no, they don't have a power play. That it was a self-inflicted stick to the face, so no penalty. I am perfectly fine with that. I am perfectly fine with any high-sticking penalty being reviewable. I'll go as far as to say if they want to eventually make it so that coaches can challenge penalties, I'm fine with that. Absolutely, I'm okay with that. Of course, if you're wrong on the challenge, it makes it a 4-minute instead of a 2. But I'm okay with that. You obviously don't call for a challenge on unless you're pretty sure your guy didn't do it. So, Bolts press with 8:30 left. Good defense by the Bolts as the clock ticks down. The Bolts had the puck. So, what they were doing was they were keeping the Canucks in. The Canucks can't pull the goaltenders until a minute and 10 seconds left. Again, if they got that power play with 8:57 left, I was pretty sure the Canucks were going to tie it. But at any rate, Tampa Bay holds on. They win it 2-1. They go to 38-15-6. They salvage something from this trip out west. And Vancouver drops to 29-24-7. And this one hurts. The Washington game and now this one, these hurt. because Vegas is kind of down, but they're not out because Vancouver didn't win those games. Your 3 stars are Vasilevsky, Demko, and Miller. Shots, 15-11 Tampa in the first, 14-11 Vancouver in the second, 11-5 Vancouver in the third. They outshot Tampa 36-31. Again, they were being outshot 9-1 to start the game, and after that they outshot their opponents 35-22. But they didn't start on time. So power plays, both teams 0 for 2. Hits, 23 apiece. Vasilevsky saves 35 out of 36. He looked great. And Demko saves 29 out of 31. So both goalies are the story in this one. But again, to me, it's the Canucks not starting on time. And that is absolutely a worrying trend. All right, next up. Florida in against LA. And this one looked like it was your typical Florida game until it wasn't. Knight versus Quick in this one. Barkov has a chance that's blocked. The Kings are defending against the transition. I thought they did a good job of that tonight. Florida's a very dangerous offensive team. LA neutralized that as much as one can. Panthers get a power play. That was killed off. And then a puck, you fire it over the boards, and it ends up going into the Florida bench, and it struck Bobrovsky in the face. He ended up having to go to the locker room for repairs. So that was kind of a scary moment. LA would open the scoring at 11:50. It's Kupari from Byfield and Spence. That's the first NHL point for Spence. So that makes it 1-0. Panthers go back to the power play. There's a post for Barkov. That's as close as they get. That power play's killed off. We then get some 5-on-5, and the Kings had the edge when it was 5-on-5. So we go to the second period. Bobrovsky's back, and again, they showed he had a cut and fat lip on the bench. Early Kings power play, that leads to a shorthanded goal. 43 seconds into the period, it's Luostarinen from Huberdeau, shorthanded. So that ties the game up at 1. Then the Panthers, the same 2 players, Huberdeau and Luostarinen, tried to add another shorthanded goal on that same power play. That's killed off, but we now have momentum with the Panthers, and they score again. It's Montour from Hornqvist and Barkov at 3:44. Panthers are in full control, and I thought, I've seen this storyline a lot lately. Florida's going to run them out of the building. They didn't. To the Kings' credit, the very undermanned Kings, they didn't. So the Kings press, they draw a power play. The Panthers would not let them set up, so that power play ends up being nothing to really write home about. Montour has a shot blocked as they press. Quick makes some saves in those final seconds to keep it close. It's 2-1 Florida after 2. Third period. Dano has a rush chance that's saved and held. Another good start for Knight. Spencer Knight, since coming back up from the AHL, has looked good. Limited amount of starts, but still has looked good in the starts he's had. Bjornfot has a chance that's saved. Verhaeghe can't bury one on a Barkov pass. Kaliev was denied from the slot. Moore's he had a few attempts on the same shift, could not get one in the net past Knight. Mammon then misses one from in close. They pull the goalie with 2:15 left. Dursey was denied. The Panthers cleared out with 1:12 left. We end up with it going 6-on-4. And things get brawly at this point, too. So, Kings call a timeout before the power play, and they do score. They score the 6-on-4 goal. It's Fir from Dursey at 19:28. And it just reminds us that Fir has this fantastic shot, and yet somehow he clears waivers every time he ends up going to the minors. And it's weird because there are teams in this league that desperately need scorers. But again, as I've said, I guess it's his defense they don't like. His defense was good tonight. There were some good defensive plays he made. So I'm going to say that the time in Ontario's done him well. So that forces overtime. In the overtime, the Kings control on faceoff. Barkov steals it. Ekblad's denied. 2:35 left. The Kings get a power play. They call a timeout. Dursey's denied. Knight holds on. That's killed off, but it had its chances. Gudas with a rush chance. It's saved. It's held. Pretty good, exciting back and forth. Overtime, we go to the shootout. And in, I believe it was round 6, Moore with the winner. The LA Kings get 2 points tonight against Florida. They go to 33-20-8 with the 3-2 shootout victory. For Florida, 40-13-6 with the overtime loss. So with Tampa's win, Florida getting the shootout loss, now Tampa Bay's 4 points back of Florida. So that race is back on. It could have been ugly if they'd lost in regulation and they'd won in regulation. It didn't happen. So your 3 stars tonight are Quick, Moore, and Spence. All 3 of them from Tampa, or from LA. And yeah, in a shootout victory, I always think it's nice to give a star to, I don't know, Spencer Knight would have been good. Your shots in this one: 11-6 Florida in the first, 13-10 LA in the second, 12-6 LA in the third, and 6-5 LA in the overtime. Final shots: 37-32 for the Kings. Power plays: 0 for 2 for Florida, 1 for 4 for LA. The hits: 31-22 for Florida. Spencer Knight, 35 saves on 37 shots. Again, he's been very good since he got called back up. Quicks saved 30 out of 32. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight's games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.